Okay, Jay Clark here with RacerX Tested. Today we're just going to talk a little bit about the Honda programming tool. And there's a lot of the bikes that have programming tools for all the EFI bikes. And just going to give you a little tips on it and give you some idea what goes on. So the first thing on the Honda is there's a clip right behind here. You put your finger back here and it pulls out. Now the Honda programmer is this right here, and you need to get a battery source. And this battery is like just an older one. It's not even good enough to start a bike, but it works just fine for this. You charge it up and it works just fine, so you have to have a battery. And then you plug it in like so, and you leave it off, and you plug I have a little computer here, and you plug the USB into the computer. And then this is the program it brings up, just like any other program. Of course, if the bike's hot when you're doing it, it's best you don't ever want these wires to touch the pipe. I get them out, kind of step them out like this, away from the pipe. If you're doing these back and forth while the bike's hot, make sure you don't burn these wires. So here, we pull up a map. There's many areas you can change. You can see you can change throughout the power band, throughout the entire range, throttle position and RPMs. And then also if we switch to, and that's on mapping. Now this is our ignition. And so we've advanced some ignition throughout different places of throughout the entire map of the bike. And here we've done our fuel changes as well. And so all there is to do to send this, we send it to the bike, we hit data write, and then you switch the switch on like it tells you. It says communication started. Then it thinks a little bit while it sends it to the ECU. And it says now it's over. You switch the switch to off. You click OK. You set your computer here. And you plug back in. And so now you have a whole new map in your bike. And you can adjust if you want. If you're having some popping going on, let's say, on decel, you usually need to add some fuel down at the bottom, say at 0, or add a little bit of ignition down at 0. There's lots of things like that you can do. Now, if you don't have any idea what you're doing or what you would change, and if you don't want to spend the money to buy a programmer, because programmers are pretty expensive to go buy this programmer, there's a couple things you can do. This one, Tokyo Mod, has modified this ECU. This is a stock Honda ECU. You can send them your box. I think it's around $80 or so, and they will reprogram your box and send it back to you. And it will have a map for your bike. So if you have a 2011, 12, whatever it be, you tell them what you have, what mods you have, you send them your box, and they send it back to you. So of course, then you're down the downtime of shipping it back and forth. But so Tokyo Mods would be a good source for maps. They're one of the better ones out there to get maps from. And that's all there is to mapping your bike. It's not too difficult. It's easier than moving carburetors around, but a bit more costly, of course, as well. Okay, so for a lot of people, these maps are a bit of mythical wonderment. No one really knows what to do. And so if that's the case, then you're better off sending your box into, say, Tokyo Mods like we talked about. But if that's not the case, if you like to tinker and can play with things and feel the differences, then you'll come in here and you can add fuel at certain areas or take away fuel. In this case, for the most part, the 2012 CRF 250 and 450 both, with any types of mods, a pipe, they want to be richer in most areas, and then especially down at the bottom where they get popping. So you want to add some fuel. And so that's one of the first places to start. They also like a little bit of ignition advance and to help with power as well. So with this particular map, we've added some fuel, we've added some ignition, and so it's a better overall power, get rid of some of the popping we get going on when we add an exhaust to it. So there's a lot there, and if you're the kind of guy that likes to tinker and play, it's a fun tool to have. You can't get in too much trouble like you could with two-strokes. The Honda tool, if you get to a certain point, it'll tell you that you're outside the parameters and they don't recommend you going past that point. That kind of tells you you're getting to a point that you might want to get away from. So it's kind of a fun thing to play with. If you have other buddies who run similar bikes, you guys can email maps back and forth to each other and plug in their map into your bike. Even if they live far away, you can try their map and back and forth with your buddies.